Welcome to the 2023 6A Championship Review. Randy Young along with Bryan Davis and Jamie Majors, the radio crew for Thomas County Central. As today we're going to review the highlights of Thomas County Central's 49-28 victory over Woodward Academy in the state championship game up at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Guys, it was a magical evening. Bryan, the Yellow Jacket Nation showed up, but more importantly, the Yellow Jacket football team showed up.
We talked about it all year long and how important it was and how well we traveled. And when you go to a big place like that, one of the biggest stadiums in the nation and predominantly one of the nicest places you could ever have a chance to play, they didn't get caught up in the moment, and, man, they just showed out like we knew they would. And, Jamie, I'm going to tell you what, the Thomas County might as well just have migrated north because they were in Atlanta.
It was awesome. They were loud and proud, and they showed out as much as the football team did.
Absolutely.
But I'll tell you, it was. I feel like we played one of our most complete games of the whole year.
Yep.
And that's when you want to play the best one.
Yeah.
Is you want to kind of be in a cumulative effort.
Yep.
And we got it there. And after a couple tough weeks, I was ready to have a little squeaker. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Have a breather for once.
I was good. And I think our players and all were too. You know, we had a couple really tough back-to-back weeks on the road.
Yep.
And then we had to go back on the road, which I think we made those our home stadiums.
Yep.
So
At this point, you're probably as comfortable playing in Atlanta as you are at Thomas County.
Absolutely. And I think Coach Rogers last night at the celebration he made mention that we were on the road, but it felt like home.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't away games.
And that says a lot.
Yeah.
So.
And, of course, going into the ball game, and I'll be honest with you, I think Coach Rogers and everybody that was looking at it objectively felt like this was going to be a defensive battle. Thomas County Central was only giving up about 8 points a game. Woodward was giving up about 11 points a game. But, guys, I think our schedule and the teams that we had seen through the course of the year, that battle-tested edge that we went in with made a big difference.
So we talked about collectively, you've seen all that you could see. You saw maybe one of the best running backs and the most run-heavy teams in Lee County. You saw one of the best passing corps you could see with A.J. Hill in Houston County. You saw the most fundamental team you could see with Marist. And then you saw the best defensive front in the whole state, besides Thomas County, with Rome.
Yeah.
And so you have seen everything somebody could throw at you, and that just all come to a singular head, and that was when you played the state championship in Atlanta.
And, Jamie, too, Woodward had been the beneficiary of some injuries going into this one against Gainesville and that semifinal game that they had against Douglas. They lost their starting quarterbacks. Both of those teams did. We went in very healthy, and I think that made a difference too.
Absolutely. You know, we're toward the end of the regular seasons when we were banged up pretty good because we were very unloaded.
Yep.
I mean, our stretch of Lee, Houston,
Northside.
And Northside, very physical football teams. And I just think that paid benefit.
Yep.
You know, for us, I thought we'd be good the first 2 rounds because we were playing at home. And, of course, you were getting the benefit of being a 1 seed.
Yep.
But I think we all knew that when it came down to Rome, that it they could. Coach Rogers said they would match us physically.
Yep.
And I asked him that week, and I said, Coach Rogers, I said, just tell me how do we match up? He says, Jamie, it's like I'm looking in a mirror of us.
Yeah.
He said they're gonna get after us. So I was worried about that one, but we played very solid. Once we got into the football game and everybody settled down.
Yep. And Jamie, I'll say this: I think what we saw with Rome and their impact on Jalen Johnson paid benefits for this particular game. Jalen would not have played the game we saw against Woodward without that game against Rome.
Absolutely, he matured.
The big time.
He matured big time. Rome got after him pretty good.
Yep.
We struggled a little bit up front, really for the first time all year of blocking them. They were really good. But I think our offensive line benefited from it also.
Big time.
Yeah. And I think they grew up a lot and maybe seen where they needed to work.
Yep.
And
maybe saw some areas where they could be exploited.
Absolutely.
To try to take care of those things. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and jump into the highlights. We can sit here talking about the season all night long. We're going to take you to Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta as Thomas County Central and Woodward matched up for the Class 6A state championship. Look to the left there. That's Woodward's crowd. Look to the right. That's Thomas County's crowd. You can see a difference. Woodward, of course, school with about 600 or so students. Thomas County Central, 1,200, just a lot more folks. I think rabid about being there, and it felt like half of Thomas County was in the stadium. Best of the Nest band did a fantastic job representing Thomas County through the whole year, and they did a good job up there in the dome as well. We got a quick start here, guys, and that was what we were hoping. They won the toss and deferred their option to the second half. And on the opening kickoff, we had a play that kind of set the tone really for the rest of the day.
We talked about special teams all year long and how important it was, and we hit it off. No better than you could get other than getting a touchdown. D. Reddick nearly takes it all the way to the house.
Great blocking, and of course D with a little bit of speed gets it all the way down to about the Woodward 35 or so. And at that point, we were in really good shape. Nice way to start the game.
And a very focused football team, Randy.
Big time.
Very hungry and very focused.
Yeah, as you're watching this replay here, again, notice the blocking. You've got a lot of blocking going on there. So we're in good shape down inside the 40-yard line. We go on offense, and it doesn't take long for us to get in the end zone. Jalen Johnson, the young sophomore, had a great night, about 140 or so running or passing yards, but he had about 130 rushing yards for the first time really in his whole career.
And when we were at this point in the game, we were talking about how important it was if you could establish a run game early, you could kind of dictate the game, and, well, I think we did that.
Yeah. Give it to Trey Brenton. Trey, such a fantastic close to the year. Of course, he's been consistent through the entirety of the season. And, again, you'll see the replay here of the blocking going on.
And, Randy, how big was it that we were able to rotate some backs in throughout the year to keep him fresh?
Absolutely.
Big time.
Keep them from getting hurt.
Absolutely. And here's the touchdown run. And it's basically the same play.
Great cut right there.
Fantastic cut. Trey's vision has become something that's rare. You rarely see a high school running back being able to read his blocks the way that Trey does. And again, as Jamie mentioned, you'll see the cut here in just a second on this run. Not this one, but this one.
It's almost like Trey's 2 seconds ahead of everybody else when they're trying to tackle him. He knows what's coming and is able to accommodate for it by shifting or slowing down even.
Here's Drew Renault, the hero of the Rome game. And he, special teams just as solid as they can be through the course of the year, kicks it down to the 5-yard line. And the Woodward player tries to outrun us laterally, and that is not what you want to do.
Hutto makes a fantastic open field tackle.
Clayton Hutto, senior defensive back, young man that has come a long way in his time at Thomas County Central and played a fantastic game up there in Atlanta as well. So here's Woodward on offense now, and they have moved the ball down the field a little bit, and you see that they're on our side of the 50. But over and over and over again, plays like that. Tywan Christopher stuck a hand in there, exact right moment, knocked the ball out, incomplete pass, and creates a long third down situation for him. We had 10 sacks through the course of the day.
I thought we were really disciplined with our pass protection as far as keeping your hands kind of contained and not trying to pull on jerseys and stuff. When they're running these slants, you try to slow them down as much as you can, but we just stay right there with them and just play fundamental football.
Good coverage. Here is the first of many sacks. Caleb Anderson. Jaden Rubo, the junior, cleans it up. Caleb, the heartbeat of the team, Jamie.
Absolutely. He's last night with the celebration, he had me geared up. I thought we were sitting to play another game.
Yeah, at the stadium, we had the cheerleaders put the run through up, and the team came through it one more time, and Caleb, he was about to suit up.
He's ready.
So here's the third down play later on in the first quarter. I think this is after we punted. So it's a 3rd and 8, and another sack.
I think we got 10 of those, didn't we?
10 of them through the course of the night. That was Jaden Rubo who came up and got that one. So that puts them in a punting situation, I believe.
In Jacket Nation, y'all are very loud at this time.
Yes. But this was a key moment in the game. The ball never hits his foot.
He just comes in and Walter Reddy, right? He just busted the line. Nobody picked him up.
Nope.
And he could have just as easily taken the ball away from the punter and just took it all the way in.
Yep.
Did you say that's probably the wrong guy not to block?
Yeah.
Watch this in slow motion. You'll see what I'm saying. the ball never hit his foot. In fact, for one split second, I thought Reddick was just going to take it.
I mean, what?
Walter he was our player of the game. Look at that. They never touched him. So that puts us in fantastic position down there at their 20-yard line. And it doesn't take us long. Fake it to Ahmad Ponder and finds Malachi Thomas.
I love getting him out in space on a boot. Jalen.
Yep.
I think he is.
Puts a lot of pressure on the defense.
God, it puts a lot of pressure on defense, especially when you got a tight end like that.
Well, and as the night went further along, they realized how quickly they had to accommodate for Jalen's ability to run, which means that they have to account for that and they have to bring a defensive guy in closer. And right here,
this is an example of it.
He just gets past it.
You're not going to cover him much one-on-one.
No, absolutely not.
Well,
C.J. Hurd, my chances.
C.J. Hurd was a safety on that play, and he had to come up because the field was open if he stays in the end zone, and Jalen possibly could run it in.
Yeah.
So with about half the first quarter going, it's 14.
In fact, I thought Jalen, when he got out on the boot, I thought for sure he was going to run.
Yep.
But Jalen's been one of those quarterbacks that he likes to distribute the ball. So
another great kick from Renault and another tackle inside the 15-yard line.
And we've done a great job of covering kicks this year for sure.
Caleb pulls him off just to make sure he's okay.
He's
concerned about him.
Hey, buddy, hurry up so we can
I'm
get
glad
to the
they
next
didn't throw a
play.
penalty. So here's Woodward back on offense. They had a two-quarterback system, but we did not know going into the ball game is the passing quarterback was injured and did not play up until about the third quarter.
And that was because we had just really punished this quarterback here so much, as you can see by Cam Brooks doing what he's done all season long.
And the best news of all, number 9 there is a sophomore.
He's a
real good one. This was the announcement about the artificial noisemakers and how they were going to send folks up into the stands to take them up.
And they did.
It was not met with a lot of enthusiasm from our crowd. Watch Mike Fallon there with the two horns.
Well, and just wait. Watch. One
go,
more time.
One
of the heroes of the
Mike
night.
saying, "Come get them."
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on and get them.
And I hate to tell them they weren't.
Well, what was disappointing about that is it seemed they changed the rules mid-game because other teams and other programs had them there. They just didn't have them in the numbers that we had.
Yep.
So here we are again on offense. Jalen Johnson with a little bit of pressure, and this is what the coaches have been hoping to see from him all year long. It's just a matter of confidence is all it is, matter of confidence. And he nearly broke it. Got it down inside the 20-yard line.
And it seemed like plays like that was what would lead to him. It was building, and his confidence would just slowly build as the season got along. And all of a sudden, once it clicked with him, he figured it out when the proper time was to be able to escape the pocket.
And now this opens up a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
When one of those happens. Because now you're having to spy him or have somebody around the line of scrimmage that can account for him.
So here we are inside their 20-yard line. Second down play here after the long run from Jalen. And again, Jalen, just a sophomore. Finds Pringle on a slant here, down to about the 3. Trey Pringle had a big night, too.
He can throw that one there.
You talk about the thing with Jalen running.
He's coming back, too.
Oh, yeah, he's a sophomore. I've always heard the best quarterbacks have got an alarm clock in their head. And whenever the pressure starts getting around them, that alarm goes off and they know they got to get out of there. But again, you got to learn that. That's not something you just automatically have, unless you're Charlie Ward Jr. That's a little different. Here we are down 3. For one second, I thought Jalen had got in here, but they said he was down, trying to strip the ball out, which I don't blame them. They spot him inside the 1.
We got the heavy set in there, I believe.
Yep. Well, then we quickly line up, Georgia Public Television trying to get the replay in, and they didn't quite get the replay in because we snapped the ball too quick. And then this time, Jalen walks in. Fantastic job by Riley McDowell.
Absolutely.
Playing that joker position. He has been such a weapon this year.
He's done it all year.
That's a portion of the crowd there from Thomas County. Student section. So 21-0 now, just into the second quarter, and you kind of felt like the potential was there for this to get ugly. Reddick again.
He's
And
a beast, man.
well, the thing to remember now, this Woodward Academy offensive line has 3 Division I guys on there. In fact, one of their linemen is the top-rated lineman in the entire country, or one of the top-rated linemen in the entire country. They couldn't do anything with our defensive line. Yeah, 77 over on that right side was the.
I mean, you see there, he got through 2 guys, not just one, but 2 that had nobody else on them, and they just couldn't contain him.
Now, how they spotted this ball at the 10-yard line, I still will not
I guess
ever
it's
figure
where
out.
you get touched.
Yeah, maybe so. Mercy, but it doesn't matter because on the next snap, Reddick comes through again.
Well, he showed them the proper place to put the ball.
That's right. He was just trying to show them where it was supposed to be.
But this was a safety if they spot it where it's supposed to be.
Oh, yeah.
Watch up here at the top right of our defensive line.
54 says, huh?
Yep. And that's what the players call the knockout punch. There's what that is. That's that uppercut knockout punch. And if it hadn't been Reddick, it would have been 3 other guys.
Right.
I mean, just
Yeah,
pressure coming.
Rubo and
Caleb,
Caleb was
yep.
tackling him too. That's,
Well, and I want to credit our defensive coaches because they did a fantastic job of mixing up where that pressure was coming from.
Yep.
It never came from the same place twice in a row. So here they are again on offense. They try a quarterback draw on a 3rd and 3. So now it's 4th and 1.
and that's Mr. Consistent right there.
Yep. Tywan Christopher, the unicorn on that defense, in my opinion, because he can play any position and play it well. But this was a big sequence here because it's 21-0. They're near midfield, and it's 4th and 1, and they decide to go for it, which you understand. I mean,
Absolutely.
again, not a whole lot of choice at this point.
That was arguably some of the best field position they've had the whole night at this point.
So what they did now is they took C.J. Hurd, which is a fantastic athlete, highly recruited athlete, and put him in kind of a wildcat thing and direct snap to him. High snap throws the timing off, and at that point, he's in trouble.
And
Tywan.
Again.
Tywan Christopher again and again and again.
Your defensive line gets a lot of credit because they've done a lot of things this year, but that linebacker core is one of the best I think I have seen.
Yep. All 3 of them have fantastic pursuit to the ball and great instincts, too.
And all of them are unique in themselves,
Yep.
too.
Yep. Each one has a little something different to bring to the table.
see, I didn't realize that was Hurd.
That's him. So after the turnover on downs, here we are on a 3rd and 7 play. And Jalen Johnson.
That's how the bus used to run.
God.
So his son should know.
Yeah. What Jamie's talking about is Jerome Bettis' son, Jerome Bettis Jr.
Yeah.
is part of the defense. Number 14, I think.
Number
if I
4.
remember. 4?
Number 4.
Number 4.
11 just showed him what his daddy, how his daddy used to run.
Now, Jalen can put his shoulder in. And this was a big point here. A quarterback sneak, Brian.
There was no sneak to it.
He snuck.
Put that in the playbook. Put that in the playbook. And Jalen takes it in for the touchdown. And to me, that was a backbreaker right there.
Yeah.
You knew pretty much that you have kind of dictated what you wanted to do in this game. You established your run
Yep.
game. You passed it when you wanted to. And you knew you had this one in the hip pocket as long as you keep up. But that being said, everybody was tending to have flashbacks last year too, and you can't get comfortable.
Right.
We learned that from last year. You cannot get comfortable, and the Yellow Jackets did not.
Even though folks that were helping to officiate the game, and I don't want to say that there was some odd stuff that happened, but there was some odd stuff that happened.
It was weird.
In the 3rd quarter, a very unusual sequence of penalties and such. Woodward got the ball back, and to their credit, they got a good kickoff return and were able to get down and score a touchdown on the last play of the first half. So we go into the 3rd quarter, and it's 28-7.
And
So this drive is huge.
now I asked Caleb when he came back out after halftime. I asked Caleb, I said, "Hey, so what's the deal?" And Caleb's pretty intense, and he said the coach said it was 0-0.
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm good with that."
So on the first play from scrimmage, Caleb with another sack, which happened, again, 10 times through the course
Now,
of
is
the
this
night.
the sequence?
This is when it went wonky.
And
It
it went
almost-
wonky about the time we got the big hit on the receiver.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But was legit. I didn't see anything defenseless or anything about that.
Well, we'll see that in a second. And the call was he didn't attempt to wrap up on him. And this year, that's a rule. If you're making a tackle, you have to attempt to wrap up. And the call was he did not attempt to. He separated him from the ball, but he did not make an attempt. But my thing was the guy didn't have the ball. So if he tackles him, it's pass interference. Here's another sack. Another one from Reddick.
So I think this is about where the comments started about something about Megs.
Well, we said it was 4th down and make it to go, and they had to go to Buc-ee's to find the first down marker.
Wow.
I think it was.
That's right.
And clearly, again, some folks in that stadium that Buc-ee's fans, and they gave him the directions to get to it.
To Buc-ee's.
That's it. He's counting how many sacks he's had.
Got 4. I mean.
So 3rd and 10 here. And I think, Jamie, the play that we've been talking about is coming up in just a second. They try a quick out toward their sidelines.
He just pushed him like, I don't know, man.
Well, and the thing about it is, had he caught the ball, he pushes him out of bounds.
Yeah.
Where's the difference? You know?
Well, and as just said a moment ago, if he wraps up, then it's pass interference.
Right.
So what choice do you have as a defender? You're trying to keep the ball from being caught. You tackle him, which is where the rule says you're supposed to do. Well, again, you're going to get flagged.
To me, it was a very
borderline
football,
call.
It was a football move. I mean, just a
Perfect.
yeah. Didn't lead with the crown of his helmet. Didn't lower his shoulder. Just met him with full contact.
Really led with his arms. Now his head is in there, but his arms are out in front of him. So his head kind of made contact with the front of the chest pads.
Now the hit came after. The head-to-head contact came from our own player when he hit Caleb.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Well, they were congratulating each other.
Yeah.
So that takes a 3rd and 10 and turns it into a 1st and 10. And at that point, you kind of.
But you know, I feel like that Caleb and them was like, okay, give him 4 more down.
Well, and Caleb, if you notice the reaction when the officials threw the flag, he was like, okay, I'm good.
He did the flag motion, like throw it.
Yep, go ahead and throw it. We got this. So 2nd and 14 here. And another sack. This one for Caleb. He looked like a missile coming in there.
A bullet.
Caleb a little excited.
And the quarterback at this point is getting tired of getting up.
Yes, sir.
He is.
Yes, sir. In fact, there's a play here coming up in a little while where we said he took a mercy slide. I'm getting tired of getting hit slide.
That closing speed, it's unreal.
Well, the confidence behind it. So here we are, and this is a hold that was called on us before the kick.
Prior to the kick.
Which I'm not even sure how that's physically possible, but that's what they called. So now, I think that was the 4th and Buc-ee's play.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And here's the white hat.
Yeah, we're going to have a little prayer meeting here.
Honestly, at this point, it felt like you were playing in Albany. You know?
Yep.
It's just like the craziness that was happening. It was like the only place we've ever seen anything like that was been in the crater.
Yeah. Well, you can see Coach Rogers again shaking his head because I think everybody kind of felt. So we got a 4th and 2. Now watch the top of the screen. Everybody's trying to get set. Our guy steps over the line, then steps back, and they call offsides.
Ain't nobody set.
Nobody is set on either side of the ball. And most of the time, the officials will say, hey, back up, we're about to snap. Nothing. And that gave them a 1st down.
Yeah. That breathed some life in them there. So.
Well, the entirety of this drive to this point is nothing but gifts. And it's penalties.
Because I'm not sure how many plays this ends up being, but we were probably a little tired toward the end of this drive.
Right.
Now.
Yep.
I mean,
Well, in this drive, too, you felt like, you can't do anything right because you haven't at this point by their standards, and it's just tough.
Well, and you're also thinking, are we walking such a fine line here that we can't do anything
Right.
without being punished for
Right.
it?
I got you.
And I think that may have affected our aggressiveness a little bit. But to their credit, they come down with some help back before this play and get it in the end zone. So it's 28-13, and they get the extra points 28-14.
So now a 2-score game, the closest been since the start, really.
Yeah, Woodward's student section, as our student said, looked like they were going to prom. They were all dressed up. Looked very, very nice.
We know where to go.
Well, they were there. To their credit, they tried. Little squib thing. Huge play from Malachi Thomas.
I'd forgotten about this, but that was huge.
That would have worked. They were going to try to catch the ball out of midair. And Malachi dove under it and put the fire out. It was a fantastic kick, too.
Yeah.
Little pop fly.
But what you couldn't account for was Malachi making that play.
Yep.
Really is what it come down to.
Good look at it here.
I mean, they had two guys right there ready to pick the ball up.
Yep.
Because it's obviously a live ball as soon as he kicks it.
Absolutely.
And just Malachi just makes a play.
That was a big play.
Yeah.
So here we are, 2nd and 9.
Need an answer.
And you know what just happened just a little while ago. And now, Trey Pringle, sophomore. So immediately, our guys brush all that off their shoulders and say, fine, we'll just go down and we'll score.
It was at this point in the game that I felt, I honestly, where I got a wave of emotion come over me, where you felt like,
We got this.
yeah.
Yep.
Because that whole sequence before really just, it broke you down because you felt like you can't beat Woodward and whatever was happening there. And then they come out and do this, and it's like these guys have not lost an ounce of faith.
Yep. And it also felt like the officials kind of resigned themselves to the fate at that point, too,
Right.
because the game, as far as all that weirdness that we saw at the beginning of it, we didn't see it again the rest of the game.
He's right out.
Yep. Drew Renault, fantastic year for him. He's a junior.
Yep.
He'll be
I
back.
love
And it is 35-14. And now there's blood in the water.
Absolutely.
That was the please don't hit me slide.
Because he saw Anderson coming at him.
Well, and he had about 4 white shirts around him. Take your pick.
And Caleb obliged him.
Yeah.
said,
He did.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
He
I
did.
got you.
And that was,
But if you'll notice, there was about 4 or 5 plays in a row that our defensive ends were almost tackled.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
no calls were ever made.
yep.
And of course, you could probably call a penalty every play. And you usually don't say anything, but it was so obvious. But we never got one of those calls.
So they cut it to 35-21, and now we go to number 23, Trey Brenton, who, again, just so consistent and so effective, and just puts the offense kind of on his shoulders. Here comes the scrum. He gets the first down.
One of the most aggressive offensive lines.
Yep.
But how they continue plays,
Yeah.
it's so impressive. They never took plays off.
Well, and that's a bunch of seniors.
Yeah.
And,
And,
playing with such a sense of confidence.
Our Ward, one of our tackles.
Yep. Alex
Ward. Man, I'm gonna tell you, you talking about some kind of improvements
Yep.
that he made throughout the year. He got better and better.
Great play here. 2 men in motion, frees up the middle of the field, and nobody else but Malachi. So we go right down the field again. So it seemed like every time Woodward Academy tried to answer and kind of get their feet back up under them, we just knocked them right back down. And you see our fans now, again, I think our folks started smelling it a little bit here.
Oh yeah.
It'd be 42-21. Fantastic play design. They ran Abe in motion over to the right, then ran Pringle to the right, and that cleared out the middle of the field. And then we ran Malachi from the right to that middle. And
Couldn't have been
wide
thrown any better. He
No.
threw him right open.
Yep.
I mean, it's just
Beautiful play design, beautiful execution. So we'll line up for an extra point here. Well, the bad news is that offensive line, all of them are seniors. And we are going to miss those guys. But what a way to go out, though, now. What a way to go out. And there he is.
oh, Bradley Smith.
Yep. And then the lights went down.
This was, it
I
just
thought
seemed
we
like,
was fixing to see some kind of show or something.
I was going to go see if Jim Rayburn was up there on the light control. I thought maybe we had another Thomasville flashback coming back.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but thankfully for this situation, they were down for about 30 seconds and then came back up.
Well, and we talked about it too. What it is was this game, of course, this is near about midnight at this point.
It's 11:30.
And everything was probably on a timer because you weren't thinking you were going to be playing this late, and well, you were. So quickly, somebody had to go find the light switch.
Yep. Although I'm going to blame Casey Massey, because in our booth where we were set up, Casey, who's our tech guy, he found a touch panel and started messing around with stuff, and I thought he had reprogrammed something. But as it was, it gave our fans and their fans a chance to light up the stadium a little bit, and then the lights came back up.
Yep.
But for a moment, I thought, here we go.
That's a good thing about LED.
It definitely helps.
In stone.
The 2nd and 8. And guess what you're about to see? Another sack. D. Reddick, who's a junior, and Cam Brooks, sophomore. And the clock starts to wind down.
I think that's number 8. Or is that D?
That might have been Woodson.
Oh, Woodson, man, he played good
Yeah,
toward the end
Devin
of the year,
Woodson.
too.
It might have been. I think it was D, but it might have been 8. Regardless, either one of them. They deserve the credit. So here, 3rd and 15, and I'm not going to give away a spoiler here, but guess what's about to happen?
Number 10.
Shocker. Cam Brooks.
Thought he missed him the first time.
He had just enough of his coattail.
I don't know what that jersey was made out of, but I'm going to tell you.
Reeled him in like a what?
Like a largemouth bass.
Yep. That's what Bryan Davis said. He reeled him in like a largemouth bass on a Mr. Twister.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you'll see here Cam grabs the very bottom of the back of his jersey and
here.
just
I gotta
got
tell you
enough.
something.
Yep. But again, though, if Cam doesn't get him, Rubo's got him.
You're right. Somebody's going to pick
Yeah.
him up.
So here we are, clock now under 4 minutes, and the quarterback sneak again, Brian.
I'm telling you, there's no sneak to it. Call it what you want to. Jalen Johnson just
Got a little nicked up right there, though.
He did.
Yeah, that was a lick.
They caught him low on his
On his
leg, and
ankles or something
I
down
thought
there,
that
and-
1 second he had hurt his ankle. We might have to call that the quarterback sprint instead of the sneak. But Jalen stays in, and we're down inside the 20. And a nice way to close it out here for Trey Brenton.
Absolutely.
Second touchdown of the night, and that pretty well nailed the coffin shut at that point.
Yeah, you better run through him. Don't arm tackle him.
Yep. Now Woodward did get another touchdown, and look at Trey. I think he's telling everybody I need to get sized. all the students are agreeing. Clock running down now, and that you're not going to outrun D. Reddick.
And this is where I think half the team was on the ground. They were getting up really slow.
So they scored, got the ball back, and we knocked the ball out of his hands. I thought that was a fumble. But
Jaden Rubo was hoping it was too, because he was about to put over 50 on that board.
yep, but I think that was a mercy
It
no call.
probably was.
17's like, man, come on.
Yeah, can we just get this thing over with? Cam comes off the end and just, yeah, that could have been called a fumble very easily. Cam's thinking the same thing. But that's all right. 38 seconds left. And they'll get down inside our 20 as time starts winding down, and they attempt one last pass. Boy, I tell you what, I am thrilled to see what this young man's going to be by the time he graduates to Central.
Even just to next year.
Yep.
The progress that he has made from a freshman to a sophomore, he was elite as a freshman.
Well, he's already grown about 15 pounds through the fall. And, of course, every college in the country is lining up for him. He'll be able to take his pick. What a fantastic job by that man, Jamie.
Yep. I don't even.
27-1 over the 2 seasons at Thomas County Central, the second 15-0 season in our history, arguably the best team performance-wise we've ever had. 610 points scored, only about 8 points scored on average against us. That's pretty special stuff.
That's good stuff.
So this is the last play of the game. And again, we were about a half step away from sacking him. Look at Cam. Got his hands on him as he threw the ball. and that's it. And Thomas County Central wins at 49-28. Our guys are excited. That's Alex Ward right there in the middle. And Coach Justin Rogers wins his first state championship as a head coach. His second overall. He won one as an offensive coordinator at Griffin back in 2013.
Under Coach Dvorsky.
Yep.
Dvorsky.
Bryan, special year, special game.
We talked about it during the broadcast, and you did especially, talking about how important it was and how this team right here was built upon the shoulders of a lot of the teams that didn't make it this far, and for some of the teams that struggled, you know, and how many of those guys that come through that didn't get the opportunity to play in this, and it felt right to be back, and just to be back was special in itself, but to come to a point that we did was
so quickly too.
No one expected it to happen as quickly as it did, but it was much well appreciated and has revitalized this community as a whole, because you walk out and this is what people are talking about.
Yeah, normally this time of the year, if I have to go to Walmart, I run into 5,000 people anyway, but the first question out of everybody's mouth, man, how about that game? That's all anybody, and that's the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
And as the old guard guys, Jamie, I'm just thrilled that the new guys, young guys like Bryan and all of these players and all of the community get to kind of taste this again. It's rarefied air.
It is, and I can remember how I felt in the 90s when we were winning those things and got to play them all at home.
Yep.
It was a special time. And
that's worth mentioning. This is the first one that we've won away from the Jackets Nest.
And it's just, man, it brought back a lot of memories of how it felt. And I was trying to tell Eli how special it is, and to be a part of what his uncle had. He won 3, you know, and of course Justin didn't get a chance to win one, but it's just a special time. And what we got going it's unreal where we are now compared to where we were 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Well, what's amazing, you think about the senior class, 2 years ago, 24 months ago, they walk off the field after having suffered the worst defeat in program history, a 59-0 loss to Benedictine in the playoffs. And 2 years later, 24 months later, they are winning the state championship in Class 6A, the only public school in the entire state forced to play up 2 classes. Bryan, just an amazing year. Best way to say it.
It was so right on so many levels, and just you got to give credit to not only Justin but the coaching staff he put together. I know he would too, and those guys just from the top to the bottom, they like he said, they're not only great coaches but they're great men, and they're coaching what are soon to be great men by the ways they do it. And I just can't thank them enough for their sacrifices they've made to get this team to where they are today, and just so special and a humbling experience, at least on my part, to be a very minute part and be able to bring it to y'all.
Well, I want to thank these two guys for their efforts over the course of the year and helping to put together the radio broadcast for Thomas County Central. We want to thank all of our fans and everybody who are part of this special season, and we appreciate you being here today to watch the highlights of the 2023 state championship game. Thomas County Central wins at 49-28 over Woodward and completes a perfect 15-0 season. Already looking forward to next year, boys.
Absolutely.
We'll have to do a show about it.
Until then, y'all have a great holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and go Jackets.